It is the most worshipped Japanese car ever built. For decades, it was forbidden, banned from American roads, a piece of mechanical fruit that millions of enthusiasts could see but never legally own. It was so utterly dominant on the racetrack that officials effectively banned it from competition for being too good. It earned a nickname that said it all: Godzilla, the unstoppable monster from Japan. And thanks to a Hollywood blockbuster and a beloved movie star, it became one of the most famous cars on Earth. This is the story of the Nissan Skyline GT-R, the legend, the myth, the monster. The story begins in 1969 in a Japan hungry to prove itself to the world. Nissan took a humble, boxy saloon called the Skyline and turned it into something special, badging it with 3 magic letters, GT-R. Under the bonnet sat a high-revving, race-bred straight-six engine, and on the track, this first GT-R was a revelation. It went motor racing in Japan and simply destroyed the competition, racking up an astonishing string of victories and becoming a national hero. The GT-R was, from its very first day, a giant killer, but its reign was cut short. When the global oil crisis struck in the early 1970s, demand for thirsty performance cars collapsed, and Nissan quietly killed the GT-R. The legend went to sleep, and it would stay asleep for 16 long years. Then, in 1989, the monster awoke. Nissan revived the GT-R name for a new generation on a car known by its code, the R32, and it was a technological masterpiece. At its heart was a now legendary engine, the RB26, a twin-turbocharged 2.6-liter straight-six, built from the ground up not for the road, but for war on the racetrack. But the real genius was its clever, computer-controlled all-wheel drive system, which could send power to whichever wheels had the most grip. It allowed the R32 to put down its power and corner in a way that left its rivals utterly baffled. Officially, Nissan claimed it made around 280 horsepower, a suspiciously modest figure that everyone knew was a polite fiction. The truth was, Nissan had built this car for one purpose above all: to dominate. And dominate it did. Nissan unleashed the R32 GT-R into Group A touring car racing, the very same category sweeping the rally and circuit racing world at the time. The result was total annihilation. The GT-R didn't just win, it humiliated everything else on the grid. Nowhere was this more dramatic than in Australia, the home of fierce, V8-powered touring cars. The Japanese newcomer arrived and crushed the local heroes so completely, including at the legendary Bathurst circuit, that a stunned Australian magazine gave it the nickname that would stick forever: Godzilla, the monster from Japan. It became so utterly dominant that the rule makers, unable to let anything else beat it, effectively legislated it right out of the championship. The GT-R had won by being too good, and a legend was born. But the racetrack was only half the story. That RB26 engine would go on to achieve a second kind of immortality in the world of tuning. It turned out that Nissan had built the engine so tough, so massively over-engineered, that it could handle staggering amounts of extra power. Tuners around the world discovered that with bigger turbos and clever modifications, this humble straight-six could be pushed past 500, 700, even 1,000 horsepower and beyond, figures that would shatter most ordinary engines. The RB26 became the holy grail of the tuning scene, the beating heart of a global subculture. The Skyline GT-R wasn't just a car you bought. It was a car you transformed, an endless canvas for the obsession of going faster. And that obsession was about to collide with a very big problem in the world's biggest market. Through the 1990s, the GT-R kept evolving. The R33 came next, bigger and faster, lapping the famous Nürburgring in Germany at a pace that embarrassed exotic supercars costing several times as much. And then, in 1999, came the one that would become the ultimate icon, the R34. With its sharp, aggressive styling, a high-tech screen on the dashboard displaying live engine data, and the most focused version yet of that legendary engine and all-wheel drive system, the R34 GT-R was the purest expression of the breed. To enthusiasts, it was, quite simply, perfect. It represented the absolute peak of an era, the final and greatest version of the analog, driver-focused Japanese supercar. But there was one enormous market where you still could not buy one no matter how much money you had. In the United States, the biggest car market on the planet, the Skyline GT-R was effectively illegal. Nissan never officially sold it there, and America's strict federal safety and emissions laws made importing one almost impossible. To make matters worse, a law existed forbidding the import of any foreign car less than 25 years old that wasn't certified for American roads. For a whole generation of young Americans who fell in love with the GT-R through magazines and video games, it was the ultimate forbidden fruit, the greatest car in the world, and they were legally banned from owning it. This impossibility only made the obsession burn hotter. The Skyline became a mythical, almost mystical object in America, a legend made all the more powerful precisely because you couldn't have it. And then, Hollywood came calling. In the early 2000s, a series of films about street racing exploded into a global phenomenon, the Fast and the Furious. And one of its biggest stars wasn't a person at all. It was a silver Nissan Skyline GT-R, driven on screen by the beloved actor Paul Walker. For millions of people around the world who had never even heard of the GT-R, this was their introduction to Godzilla. Paul Walker himself became a genuine, passionate fan of the cars in real life. The films transformed the Skyline from a cult hero known only to enthusiasts into a worldwide pop culture superstar. When Paul Walker tragically died in a car accident in 2013, the bond between the actor and the car only deepened in the public imagination, and the value of the cars he had made famous began to climb toward the stratosphere. Meanwhile, Nissan had not finished. In 2007, it launched an all-new GT-R, the R35, and this time, it dropped the Skyline name entirely. It was a complete reinvention, a hand-built twin-turbo V6, blistering computer-controlled launches, and brutal, relentless pace. But it carried the soul of its ancestors, because it did exactly what every GT-R had always done. It killed giants. The R35 could accelerate and lap circuits as fast as exotic supercars from Italy and Germany that cost 3 or 4 times as much. It humbled Ferraris and Porsches, and it did so for a fraction of the price. Critics were stunned. Godzilla was back, and it was once again making the establishment look slow, overpriced, and afraid. The Giant-Killer had never lost its bite. Today, the legend has reached fever pitch. Those once forbidden cars have finally begun crossing into America, one by one, as they each turn 25 years old and the import ban finally expires, greeted like returning royalty. And their values have gone supernova. A clean R34 GT-R, a car that cost a reasonable sum when it was new, can now sell for hundreds of thousands of dollars, with the very best examples approaching $500,000. The cars Paul Walker drove and the rarest special editions have become some of the most valuable Japanese cars ever sold. What was once a humble Japanese performance car, dismissed by the establishment, is now a blue-chip collector's icon, fought over by enthusiasts and investors all around the world. The monster has been fully unleashed. The Nissan Skyline GT-R is so much more than just a car. It is the ultimate underdog. The Giant-Killer that beat the best in the world, was banned for being too dominant, forbidden to a generation that worshipped it, and finally immortalized by Hollywood. It proved that brilliant engineering and pure heart could humble machines costing many times more. From a humble saloon in 1969 to a $500,000 legend today, Godzilla has earned its place among the immortals. If you enjoyed this, subscribe to Automotive Stories for more legends from the world of cars. And tell me in the comments, which GT-R is the greatest? the R32, the R34, or the R35. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.